Don't rock, freak, don't stop, don't rock, freak, don't stop, don't rock, freak, don't stop. Who put them ball in the Wednesday night? Who put them ball in the Wednesday night? Who put that ball in the Wednesday night? Super Tyrese Campbell.
That was Shaun and this is the Sheffield United Hodcast. I'm Matt, and here is the welcome to Wrexham, to my last dance. It's Johnny.
Good evening.
It's been a little while since we've done a pod. That's why this one is called We Only Pod When We're Winning. We were going to do On the Beach, but then we recorded a little bit later, and obviously United had a nice victory at the weekend against Hull City. We're quickly going to talk through the last four matches, and then I've got a few questions for Johnny before we wrap up, because it's safe to say now that we've cancelled the Wembley Hotel, haven't we, this year, Johnny, and we won't be going to Box Park in May.
Absolutely. So
since we last did a pod, we appeared on YouTube. If you've not checked that out, have a look. We were interviewed by John Sinclair, who was doing a behind the scenes of the hospitality section at Bramall Lane. And we realised then that we definitely got a face for podcast, didn't we, Johnny? And not to be on screen. But we had a good 5 minutes with John before the Wrexham match, which United lost 2-1. So the Wrexham match, we lined up with Davis in goal, Burrows, Bindon, Tanganga, Herver, Gyro, Peck, Brooks, O'Hare, Hamer and Bamford. United absolutely battered Wrexham, didn't we, in the first half? We had some glorious chances. Bamford missed an absolute sitter as well in that first half. And it took us a little while to take advantage of all the pressure, and it was early in the second half, wasn't it, that Brooks scored. Brooks scored a really good goal, to be fair, ghosted inside an absolutely smashing one, which he created himself. And then United did what United have been doing for the last few matches, which was snatch a defeat from the jaws of victory. It was a really, really underwhelming second half performance, wasn't it? After Brooks's goal, we just peaked, and then nothing else happened from there, really, for us. We contrived to concede an easy goal, and it had to be him, didn't it? Windass passing one into the back of the net from a cutback after an error in defence for us. And then Smith scored a winner. Smith, who I really don't rate as a player, but for some reason seemed to just get the better of our centre-halves that day. He ghosted in and bundled a header in, didn't he, at the back stick. And we ended up coming away with a 2-1 defeat from that. And I think that kind of was the final nail, wasn't it, in any hope that we got to get in an outside sniff of the playoffs. The Wrexham match has been a while ago. Obviously, I've been away since then. Oh, you want to say about the Wrexham match, Johnny? Any standout performers or anything, or moments of note for you?
No, just probably story of the season. Like we said, we played well, should have been out of sight at half time, missed glorious chances. Thought Wrexham were poor. Obviously, we're getting those in front, and then, I mean, it's like Wilder's listening to our car journey on my own, because I said to you, we found a way to lose that game.
Yeah, we did.
And his post-match, he come out with exactly the same. We found a way to lose, and it's a bad trait that we've had this season, to be honest with you. It just compiled further points dropped from winning positions, and the season were already over before then, but it just finished it off, didn't it? So
yeah, it did. I mean, I was covering Chris at the time, weren't I, in Den Blades, and I think in that I just said that you weren't angry coming away. It's just you were flat because we didn't deserve to lose, but we also didn't show enough grit and determination to win a game, did we? We made the man who you didn't rate, Kabore, look like an absolute world beater on that right-hand side, didn't we? Midfield for them. I think I'd said at the time that Peck and Riedewald had probably had the worst games for us that day. Yet when we took them off and we brought on Tom Davis and Arblaster, we just got even worse, didn't we? It's one of those, and I listened back to because I was being miserable. I listened back to some of our earlier pods, and we talked about what we built after the transfer window closed earlier on in the season, not the January one. And we just said how we'd built a decent squad with plenty of depth. We suddenly looked threadbare, didn't we, in midfield again? And I feel that's where we lost. I know Wilder said it was both boxes, but for me, it was the middle of the park. We never really grasped hold of the game, did we?
Yeah, we gifted them both goals.
Yeah.
The first goal, both centre-halves misjudged ball, if I remember rightly. And then the second goal, Blaster and Tom Davis both went for the same ball, tried to press up pitch on the edge of their box, and they just played through it and counter-bang goal. And yeah, we like that leadership and that backbone this season, I'm afraid. So it's just, that Wrexham game just summed up the whole season for me, really.
It did, and I think also to labour the squad point a little bit more, that match, who did we finish at fullback? Can you remember who actually finished as our two fullbacks?
Was it Chong and
Ogbenny? Chong and Ogbenny.
Yeah.
Chong and Ogbenny finished as the two fullbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It were, to be fair, when you look back at the transfer window from summer last year, we were thinking, we've signed a lot of players here, and we were quite looking forward to the amount of depth we brought in, but it was a massive misjudgment from us.
Oh, yeah.
With hindsight, we didn't sign a leader.
No, and we've obviously debated this a bit, haven't we? Because obviously Jack Robinson came because we played Birmingham just before. And, it's no secret for me. I'm really not a Jack Robinson fan. I don't like a lot of his attitude and stuff, but the guy was a leader, wasn't he? Vinny Souza, to say when the chips were down, he quite often sulked, was a bit of a leader still. You got Anel, who again, when the chips were down, would sulk, but still was a leader in big parts of that season, wasn't he? Wilder talked about Brewster as well, didn't he? Being a bit of a big dressing room figure.
More Chowdhury.
Yeah.
Big players to lose.
They were big players with quite a bit of experience and know-how, weren't they, at a decent standard, and we haven't replaced them. And I think the Wrexham game, I mean, that the sub, every sub we made us worse, which just shows how weak the squad had got. So that was depressing. I then went and worked away for a bit, which is why we've not done a pod. And then the next match back was Swansea. And again, United looked to be absolutely cruising in this one, didn't we? We were the much better side, playing really well, went 1-0 up. Then Davis gave away a penalty, clattered into their play. We'd only made one change, by the way. Herver had come out and Sariki started. That's why I didn't go through the starting lineup on this one. But United scored 3 goals. Hamer scored a cracker, which was the opener. Then obviously Davis gave away the penalties, as I just said. Burrows scored a belting finish across the keeper, which was reminiscent to one of his ones from last season. And Tom Cannon came on and I thought scored a really good goal from distance as well, and looked to have his tail up a little bit. And it looked for all money, didn't it, really, that we were just going to go and see that game out. And then United did what United have been doing again. Threw it away. Threw away 2 easy goals. Adam Ida, who you and I have debated a little bit, I quite rate as a player. I know you're not a massive fan. But he came on and he made our defence look awful. Just through power and knocking Burrows about for one of the goals. We just gifted him 2 very, very easy goals. So Ida scored one and assisted another, didn't he? For their subs. And it was, a bit like the Wrexham game in that we made substitutions, got worse, they made substitutions and 2 of them scored. I know Cannon came on and scored for us, but that aside, we just, the minute we change what is our strongest side, we suddenly look awful again, don't we? So we drew 3-3 at home with Swansea. Oh, you want to say about the Swansea game? Any standout performers or anyone have a particular mare for you?
Oh, I think we said at the time, Aimer had a good game, didn't he? The problem being is it's the lack of leadership seeps into lack of game management, and 3-1 up at home to Swansea, cruising, could easily take it from 3 to 5-1, and as soon as we concede one, which were a poor goal, the Ida one, I think Burroughs got out muscled, didn't he, on wing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's been possibly our worst player this season for the hype of last. So obviously, for as good as he were last year, he's really dropped off this year and probably been our worst player compared to last.
He's had the biggest fall, hasn't he, in standards of performances?
Definitely. Yeah, and like I said, the game management weren't there. You just expect him to see it out, especially at home 3-1 Swansea, and just win the game. But again, we're going back to it. More drop points. I think that was the 29th drop point from winning positions. Give us half them, 14, 15. You're in top 6.
Yeah, absolutely right. It was just, the Swansea match again was just another one that's, I mean, we've already said it, and we run the risk of just repeating ourselves, don't we? In that these kind of games just sum up the season, and how this season's been. In that there's flashes of it which have looked better than last season. I mean, Cannon's goal and the football to create that, Hamer's goal cutting inside and bending one in was reminiscent of his good performances last season. Burroughs attacking wise against Swansea with a lovely strike across the keeper again was as good as the good stuff from last season, but defensively we were just awful all over the place. And I think a lot of it, which we kept saying Saturday about the whole game, was as much as everyone was saying the defence is poor, you do worry about that screen around them, because that's not been strong either, as it's in midfield, which has left the defence with a lot to do.
No, we said yesterday about City Peck needing somebody at the side of him. He had Sousa last year, who was that screen, and it just worked, and that was part of it. The amount of really low amount of goals that we conceded. I mean, if you could combine last season's defence and this season's attacking prowess, you win league.
Oh, so you cruise it, yeah.
Because we've said a few times this year that when we've played well this year, in the games we've played well this year compared to the games we played well last year, we've been much more entertaining this season than last.
Yeah.
However, we find that way to not win.
Yeah, I think you're right, and a lot of it, you know what, as well, in terms of lack of leadership, I think some of it is actually the fact that some of the replacements we brought in just aren't as good. You know, Tyler Binden is a downgrade on an L. I don't think Tanganga's as strong as an L. Yes, Sariq is a better fullback going forward, but defensively is a slight downgrade on Gilchrist in terms of just being able to hold a position. Burroughs, we always had doubts about in terms of his ability to be a fullback. I think he's still more of a wing back, which we'll come on to when we talk the Bristol game. The middle of the park is nowhere near as strong as it was last season at all. And centre forward wise, Campbell's had this huge drop off in form, which no one saw coming at all. Bamford, I think, is better than Kiefer Moore, personally. I know that will upset you. But I think Bamford's a better player than Kiefer Moore. And he's proved that with his goals this season for me. However, he hasn't got the bodies in and around him, has he, that we had last year. Because Aware's, as good as Aware's been for large portions of this season, he's dropped off a cliff, hasn't he, these last few weeks.
I think the second part of the season away has been nowhere near as effective.
Mm.
I think aim has stepped up, but aware's dropped off.
Yeah,
In the last few weeks, maybe Bamford's dropped off in terms of obviously his finishing, hasn't he?
yeah,
Um, but to be fair, I agree with you. Probably Bamford is a better player than Moore, and without him this season, we'd have gone down.
oh yeah, yeah. I think we would have slept what's relegation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'd have done what Leicester's doing.
unless it's slightly different with the points deduction, isn't it? But just
No, but without that focal point up top, we would have been really in trouble now.
oh yeah, yeah, we would. I agree. I do agree on that one. So that was the Swansea game. We managed to throw it away and draw 3-3. So that was Good Friday. Then it came to Easter Monday, which again is another reason why we struggled to get the pods in. It's been quite fast, hasn't it, between the fixtures? This one, Wilder rang in the changes, and he basically said he wanted to look at some other players and try a different system, and which was quite interesting because in his post match, he was saying after the Swansea game, "Oh, it's not about systems, it's about players. It's not about systems, it's about players." And then he changed the system, which I'm not picking up Wilder over. To be honest, I don't mind him having a go and changing the formation now and seeing how it can be, because it's better than doing it in the first 3 games of next season, isn't it? After we've lost the opening game. So the changes we made, we started with Davies in goal. We then started with, I think it was a 3 at the back, Tanganga, McGuinness and Hjelde, with Sariki and Burrows as 2 wing backs. 3 in midfield of Peck, Rothwell and Samari, and then Bamford and Cannon up front. Best described as a game of 2 halves, this one. The first half, United were absolutely atrocious. Just awful. It was horrendous. Passing was awful. Movement was awful. No one seemed to know where they were. Half time, we were 1 goal down at half time. Terrible mix up at the back, and they pretty much passed it into an empty net from about 25 yards. And then second half, we really should have scored 2 or 3 goals. Now, I know everyone will talk about the fact that their fullback should have been sent off, and he should on 11 minutes. He'd already been booked, and then leg Sariki up, didn't he? He's running just about to cut into the box. But to be honest, that would have glossed over what was just a absolute shambles. I've got to swear then, an absolute shambles of a first half performance in that 5-3-2. It just did not work. And Samari and Hjelde both got hooked in at half time. And we went back to a 4-4-2, if you like, and battered Bristol second half, which, as I said to you at the end, I said, for me, you've got to build the team around Andre Brooks next season. As frustrating as Brooks can be, he's just outstanding when he wants to be at times in this division. Bristol match, what do you think? I had a bit of a moan there. What do you think about the Bristol performance?
Yeah, first off, to be fair, there's nothing in it until they score. And
No.
then they just look like a team of little boys. Look like a leadership again.
Yeah.
Now to just think, now we're not going to take this. We're going to go out and we're going to beat these and we're going to bully them. And
Do
the
you
game's
think
not over? But they just looked sorry for themselves, didn't they?
they did? They
For
did,
half time.
and I think you're right. Sorry for themselves is a nice way of describing it. Do you think Wilder was wrong to make so many changes and to change the formation?
No, it's to be fair, why not at this stage? It's not like we've out to play for.
Yeah.
And obviously it was Friday, Monday, the games, so it's a quick turnaround. Starting Brooks, he'd come back from abroad on international before the Swansea game.
He looked
So
shattered,
he'd done
didn't he, against Swansea? We said that he looked really
he'd
tired
done a
against
lot of
Swansea.
travelling, and Brooks was probably so effective the second half against Bristol because he was fresh and didn't play the first half. Do you know what I mean? So I get trying a different formation. We've talked about it, and I think if we sign the players that we think that they could sign, then they might change to a 5 next season. But yeah, and then second half, it was just literally just we could have scored 5.
Oh, we could. Yeah, absolutely.
We could have scored 5. Aimer was really good. Tanganga was actually outstanding at the back second half, just quelled any sort of counter from them.
He did. He was
Um,
appalling first half, him and McGuinness, weren't they?
Yeah, I think to be fair against Bristol, Cannon and Bamford weren't great,
No.
and that didn't help. If we had somebody who could have put ball in net that day,
Yeah.
would have been all right.
We needed someone to snatch it, well, take any half chance that we created, didn't we? And obviously Bamford had a decent chance, didn't he, to nick a point and didn't take it, which unfortunately has been a bit of a recurring theme for him these last few games. Although, we'll talk about his Hull performance in a minute, because actually we both felt he was a bit better against Hull, didn't we? All right, he should and probably could have scored a couple, but still, his overall performance was much better. Samari and Hjelde, no future at the Lane.
No, 0.
Yeah. I think it was last chance, weren't it, for Samari to impress and try and get a permanent move, and he was awful against Bristol.
Yeah, terrible. 2 raw, 2 hit and miss, and headless chicken comes to mind, and then obviously he held no intention of signing him anyway. He was only brought in wanted to cover Sam McCallum getting injured.
Oh yeah, agreed. He was. You were a backup for that, weren't he? Because we needed a bit of a backup at left back. But I thought he might have offered an option as that left-sided centre half. I actually was like, oh, this is good, going to a back 5 against Bristol. Let's see what we can do. But no, Hjelde's not going to be the answer there at all. And obviously Binden out of the side, which was interesting because he wasn't good against Swansea. And I think he was also not great against Wrexham. But interesting to see him being dropped for McGuinness for these last couple of games.
Yeah, I think it's mainly because McGuinness is our player and there might not be the chances of getting Binden next year. I mean, if Forest stay up, obviously our chances increase on getting Binden, but do you really want to go into next season with Tanganga and Binden as your centre halves? Tanganga, they're going to play him.
Yeah, they're going to have to, yeah.
He's going to play him, pay big money for him, and probably of the new signings, he's been the best, apart from Bamford and Gyro or the Freeze, but probably last summer's signings, he's probably been the best.
Yeah. There's a part of me wonders if Tanganga might benefit from not being captain.
Now, I genuinely feel that we'll touch on it because I think we're going to talk about some signings in a bit, but I think that they're going to put some eggs in the basket on Suter.
Do you think?
Season. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move forward in time then, and we'll go to the Hull performance because we're recording this on Sunday night. We might drop it tomorrow, it depends. But we played Hull on Saturday, the 11th of April. We rung in the changes again, so we went Davis, Sariki, McGuinness, Tanganga, Burrows, Rothwell, Peck, Hamer, O'Hare, Brooks, Bamford. Hull gonna be a little bit of needle, and this one was going to be a bit interesting because they got John Egan, they'd got Lundstrom, and they'd got Ollie McBurney. McBurney got a great reception, so did Egan, and Lundstrom was surprised at the reception he got, if you believe that was his Twitter post at the end. I know you're saying it was. I'm very doubtful of anything.
It actually was. Old chairman's come out and said something about it today, hasn't he?
I don't know. I don't know. I only use Twitter to post our.
I just can't believe Lundstrom was surprised.
Well, I know. Yeah. Anyway, that was that. So first half against Hull, it was like a basketball match, wasn't it? It was just constantly backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. I think the reason we were so backwards and forwards is just because we were absolutely hideous in possession, weren't we? Wasting the ball constantly. I think I'll comment on the performances of a couple of them actually just to get started. I thought Burrows was incredibly wasteful in possession. I thought Sariki was awful in possession. I probably had, for me, his worst performance of the season. And I thought Peck was poor. I don't usually go in on Peck because I think he will run all day and he'll always try and he's filled in really, really well for the last couple of years, and you can't fault a lot of that. But I thought he was awful against Hull on Saturday. He had a really poor game. I thought Aware was sloppy in possession as well, which really didn't help. After 4 minutes, 5 minutes, we went behind. Ollie McBurney, Peck poor pass out wide, wasn't it? Sariki got caught out of position. McBurney made that really nice bending run that you like to see from a centre forward where they ghost in behind the centre back and spun Tanganga and shot past Davies at his near post. Do you want to offer your opinion on Davies for that goal? Because I know you had a proper axe to grind about that one, didn't you, being part of the goalkeepers union?
Yeah, but obviously it starts with Peck getting a horrendous ball away, and then Peck's gesturing to Sariki as though it's his fault, but it didn't take Lake's pass, so it's Peck's fault 100%.
Yep.
Bernie tails off Tanganga because he tries to go out to close, and they're in behind. And from the point of the 6-yard box, you should not get beat at your near post, especially a low shot.
You
should be covering that near post.
Yeah, agreed.
Ultimately, you can't blame Davies because he actually did keep us in it in that first half with a couple of decent saves. So, but yeah, he shouldn't get beat at near post, and it's something we've got to address for next season if it's correct about Cooper being out for a while.
Yeah, well, we can't go into the season with Adam Davies as first choice if Cooper's not going to be fit.
We can't go into the season with Adam Davies as second choice next year. If we're serious about wanting to achieve something next year, you can't have Davies as your backup keeper.
Yeah, I am inclined to agree with you. I think Davies is not as bad as I thought he was, but I think he's better. I'd have liked to have seen Faxon have a bit of a run these last few games, but hey ho, that is what it is. So McBurney obviously scored. You knew he'd score. It was an absolute cert. I mean, the decision to not re-sign him looks increasingly stupid. As we know, with the performance he put in on Saturday, I thought he led the line really well for Hull against us again, and he showed his defensive capabilities and some of the things that we used to get frustrated about as well with McBurney, which we'll come on to when we get to the penalty in the second half. United had a 5-on-2 break as well, didn't we? Which Bamford missed terribly. Just passed it back to the keeper. He should have scored. We did waste a plethora of chances in the first half. Then again, so did Hull. It could have been 4-4. We could have been 4-1 down. We could have been 5-1 up at half time. I think any scoreline was possible, wasn't it? Really, for a neutral, it was quite an entertaining game of football. Second half came and it started off a bit the same, and then the atmosphere kind of picked up a little bit, didn't it? Around the hour mark in the stands, it felt like, and the performance kind of picked up around then. Obviously, I think probably the atmosphere picked up because the performance was picking up a little bit. United started moving the ball a bit better in midfield, and that led to Lundstrom fouling for a second yellow after he'd had a spat with McGuinness Ante in the corner and got himself booked. He then lunged in on Brooks and nailed him. And I know the whole management were complaining that it wasn't a second yellow. It's one of the most obvious second yellows you'll see. It's late and he catches him on his ankle. I think their gripe was that the referee had blocked him off. But we said a few times, with the referee in the way a lot on Saturday. We were kind of right in the middle of play all the time. A bit strange. So I actually thought he wasn't that bad other than that. So Lundstrom gets sent off. Within a couple of minutes, United end up with a penalty as well, which was a double whammy. And I think Mr. Starbuck had told you that it could have been any one of three that it was given for. I know McBurney grabbed Bamford, didn't he, and decided to rock bottom him into the back of the net. Riedewald got put in a chokehold and slammed to the floor. And then I think it was the other one who got dragged down. Didn't McGuinness get rugby tackled as well in the box? So it could have been any one of three. We get a penalty. Brooks did a good job of disguising it as usual. And then Hamer was the one who stepped up to take it and smashed it in really convincingly to make it 1-1. And then within a couple of minutes, Danny Ings had come on. I know the Hull management again were complaining that it was offside. It didn't look offside to me. Danny Ings takes one touch and then does another and prods it under the keeper, doesn't he? And that's that. And we're 2-1 up. And then United amusingly spent the last 5 minutes just keeping the ball in the corner, didn't they? Winning free kicks and corners and housing our way to a 2-1 win. What were your thoughts on the Hull match, Johnny, and any standout performers?
Yeah, decent game if you're a neutral. I said it to you a couple of times when we were watching it. We probably did what some teams have done to us this season, where because Hull missed some big chances and big moments, and when we took ours. In ending, especially the second half. Definite red card. Take your pick on the penalty. I mean, it's come out later on, Riedewald.
Yeah.
I gave it, and it's definite penalty.
I mean, for me, the Bamford one was the most obvious one. I mean, McBurney genuinely just body slammed him, didn't he, into back at net for no reason.
My standout player for the day was actually Rothwell.
Yeah.
Thought he played really well. He was directing his running, very positive in his passing forward. He's got great passing ability, and he looked quite mobile second half, didn't he?
Yeah,
fitness has started to come back to him.
Yeah, I was really, really impressed with Rothwell. The other one I was impressed with, even though they took him off, I thought McGuinness had a decent game.
He was steady, and because I've pulled him quite a few times this year, I thought Chong looked okay when he came on as well.
Yes, he did. It was one of my only gripes from yesterday, actually, were fans booing when Chong came on. I don't know if you heard that, a bit of just murmuring and discontent that he'd come on.
There's just a lot of people who don't know about football, and I'm afraid.
Well, this is the issue, isn't it? Absolutely. So, man at match for Rothwell. Anyone you think didn't play particularly well?
Burrows. It was horrendous. Burrows and Sariki were terrible.
Yeah.
Both really poor. Sariki get ball away 4 or 5 times first half.
He did.
And they looked better when Herver and Chong came on, didn't they?
They did, and it was a big step change from how it had been as well in terms of the subs came on and actually made a positive impact. There's been much talk about them who play at the other side of the city this season, and how when they make substitutions, the team just falls apart. We felt similar these last few weeks, haven't we? Where every time we've made changes, we've just got worse. Actually, the subs came on and made us better, I felt, on Saturday. So Riedewald came on. Was Riedewald, he was excellent. I think the Pinch have put out a stat, haven't they, about Riedewald today, which I shared with you and Mr. Starbuck, about the points per game when that man plays. And it's just noticeable, isn't it, when he's on? Just the calmness, and he's marshalling about. And again, we've used the L word a lot tonight, but leadership, just in that middle and holding others to account and holding a position. He's been outstanding, hasn't he? And he came on and just steadied us when it was getting a bit fractious. I mean, they were a bit where Tanganga would give away a free kick and was arguing with the referee, and you just saw Riedewald just put his hand on his shoulder and just be like, no, leave it, go and defend. And got him concentrating again. And then he filled in, didn't he, at centre half as well, when obviously we were going for a winner. And as you say, Rothwell really stepped up and showed that discipline and experience, didn't he, and driving us forward, which we needed. And so did Hamer, to be fair. Hamer did it as well. And I'll give Bamford a shout. He should have scored. Absolute sitter he missed, wasn't it, in the first half? But he had a big battle, didn't he, against those against Egan and against Ajayi at the back, because the two big lads. We know John Egan's good in the air, and Semi Ajayi's an absolute monster. But I thought Bamford really held his own against them, didn't he? And similarly, McGuinness and Tanganga did a good job against McBurney, because, again, McBurney, he's all arms and legs, isn't he? And he's tall and strong. They did a cracking job against him, obviously, other than the goal. What else you want to say about the Hull match, Johnny, before we go into potential signings and a couple of bits and bobs for the last couple of minutes?
Yeah, just a very good winning. Nice to come away with that winning feeling, wasn't it?
Yeah, it works. It's been well overdue. So, just one question for you, really, then, before we talk signings for a couple of minutes. Which players need just moving away from the first team now, binning off, and who needs to be playing these next few matches before the end of the season?
I don't think we've got time tonight to go through how many players need to go.
I'm not on about just getting rid of them, but we'll do that towards end. We'll do that right at the end of the season. Who for the next 5 games needs to be nowhere near the squad?
Well, you obviously Samari, Ogbeni, Hjelder, their 3 loans. Tom Davis. There's talk of Shackleton coming back. Why?
Don't bother. Yeah.
I mean, Herver's got to be part of the squad because Sariki doesn't look like he can do 90 a minute at that intensity. So yeah, they're probably the ones who keep away. But I think we did another episode where we just talked transfers and just yeah.
And who needs to be playing for you? Because I've said, and I'll hold my hands up on this one, I think Arblaster should be starting some games now if we're going to try and get him a bit fitter.
Whose expense?
Peck.
Possibly. But Rothwell's got to play.
Yeah, I know. This is the problem, because the squad's so unbalanced, isn't it?
Yeah. Which do you go to? If you want to experiment, do you go to a 5 and you play Rothwell, Peck, and Blaster?
Then you got to play Hjelder, haven't you? Or you got to play Binden.
But you've also got Riedewald that could play in there.
Yeah, and then you got to drop Hamer or you got to drop Hawer.
Yeah, I agree with you, but it's difficult. It's difficult because we have got 4 decent centre mids on paper.
Yes.
And there's talk, obviously, Phillips being back fit for next week as well.
Yeah, I mean, the other one I personally would like to see, and I mean, it's going to sound stupid, this, because Danny Ings scored the winner, but I think Cannon should be playing now just to try and get him a few goals and get his confidence up ready for August. But
again, that means you play 2 up top because you can't drop Bamford.
Yeah, I know.
You play 2 up top, which we've hit on. I mean, people are moaning we're not playing 2 up top at home, but then people moaning that Hamer and Brooks aren't playing. You can't have both.
No. Okay, you said you wanted to talk transfers briefly for 30 seconds. What did you have in your head about transfers?
So I sent you some players that are Sheffield United type of players, and I believe that we might be interested in some. Obviously, goalkeepers, Tickle. I think I sent you Kyle Walker, who stated that he wants to come back. Suter. Chowdhury. And then we need a couple of strikers, don't we?
We do, but we'll save that for our transfer special. I've got no else for tonight. Have you, Johnny?
No, it's all good, and let's just get the season finished.
So I've been Matt, you've been Johnny. I'm going to hand us over to Shaun to play us out, and there's nothing else to say but up the blades.
Up the blades.
Don't stop up. Go, rock, go, rock, freak, don't stop up.
Who put the ball in the Wednesday night? Who put the ball in the Wednesday net? Who put that ball in the Wednesday net? Super Tyrese Campbell.